regular Americans just pulling it together on their own to save Social Security. That woman in Grand Rapids, Michigan yesterday saying, I woke up this morning and said, I got to do something. And by afternoon, there she was. And Americans all over the country are waking up every day somewhere having that same feeling. And that political leadership from regular Americans is now starting to push over the right dominoes. We are starting to see, for example, stirrings from big, powerful groups that at least used to have a lot of sway on issues like this, groups like AARP.
AARP is fighting to protect your Social Security. You've worked hard and paid into Social Security with every paycheck.
Something incredible is happening across America. Regular people, not politicians, not lobbyists, are stepping up to protect Social Security. In places like Grand Rapids, Michigan, retirees and everyday Americans are waking up, saying, I have to do something. They're not just thinking about it, they're taking action. And guess what? It's working. For decades, Social Security has been a political battleground. It has survived economic crises, political debates, and constant threats of cuts. But too often, it's treated like a line item in a budget rather than what it truly is, a lifeline for millions of Americans. This isn't just about numbers on a balance sheet. Social Security is the foundation of retirement for more than 67 million Americans. It's what keeps many seniors from falling into poverty. It's a safety net for people with disabilities. It's a promise that, after years of hard work, you'll have something to rely on. But that promise is under attack. For years, politicians have tried to quietly chip away at Social Security. Some want to privatize it. Others want to raise the retirement age. Some want to cut benefits. And a few extreme voices even suggest eliminating it altogether. These threats often come wrapped in misleading language. Words like reform and modernization. But make no mistake,
Hello, AARP. I thought you would be blanketing the nation with super effective ads and hounding every member of the administration every day up to and including the president. It's kind of what I have come to expect from AARP. We are not seeing anything like that yet from AARP, but they are admitting that thousands of their own members are contacting them now, and they are showing signs of life. And when you combine that with the real political leadership that we are seeing from regular Americans who just wake up one morning and say, I've got to do something, and then they go do something, well, you know what? It works. It has an impact. It pushes over one domino that then pushes down another. For example, we had Trump's Social Security nominee have his desultory little confirmation hearing this week in the United States Senate. But at that hearing, you had Republicans, asking, hey, wait. How many Social Security offices are you closing in my state? My constituents are telling me that Social Security service is collapsing. And look, I had my staff confirm it. After Trump fired all these people at Social Security, turns out it now takes hours to get through on the phone.
When politicians talk about fixing Social Security, too often they mean cutting it. And for a long time, those in power got away with it. They made changes behind closed doors. They reduced staffing at Social Security. Offices, they made it harder to get benefits. They forced seniors to wait on hold for hours just to speak to a representative. But now, something different is happening. The movement isn't coming from Washington. It's coming from every day. Americans. People are organizing. They're demanding change. They're making noise. And that noise is forcing even the biggest players, powerful advocacy groups, lawmakers, and government officials to pay attention. One of those groups is the American Association of Retired Persons, or AARP. AARP is supposed to be the biggest advocate for retirees, but until recently, they were relatively quiet on this issue. That's starting to change. They're now launching a campaign to demand 3 critical assurances from lawmakers. First, Social Security payments must be made on time. For nearly 90 years, Social Security has never missed a payment. AARP is insisting that record remains unbroken. Second, applications and claims must be processed without delay. No one should be stuck waiting months due to bureaucratic backlogs. Third, customer service must remain accessible and efficient. Cutting phone support and forcing people to travel long distances just to prove their identity is unacceptable.
We had Trump's Social Security nominee have his desultory little confirmation hearing this week in the United States Senate. But at that hearing, you had Republicans, asking, hey, wait, how many Social Security offices are you closing in my state? My constituents are telling me that Social Security service is collapsing. And look, I had my staff confirm it. After Trump fired all these people at Social Security, turns out it now takes hours to get through on the phone. And then even when you've waited on the phone for hours, you get cut off anyway. Hey, Social Security nominee from the Trump administration, what's going on here? You got that this week, even from Republican senators. You have the top Republicans in the Senate who supposedly oversee Social Security, who until now have been totally silent as Trump has been firing thousands of people from the agency, as his top campaign donor has been given access to all the most sensitive systems at the agency, while he publicly calls it a Ponzi scheme that must be shut down. As the service has started to palpably collapse, they have been silent.
But here's the big question. Why wasn't AARP leading this charge earlier? Where were the hard-hitting ads blanketing the airwaves? Where were the high-pressure campaigns targeting lawmakers? The truth is, they're only now waking up to the pressure from their own members. Thousands of concerned Americans have flooded AARP with messages, emails, and phone calls demanding action. The result? AARP is finally stepping up. They're pushing back. But they didn't do it on their own. They did it because of the movement started by everyday people. This movement didn't start in Washington, D.C. It started in living rooms, on social media, and in community meetings. People began talking, organizing, and demanding action. Like a line of dominoes, one push led to another, and suddenly we're seeing something unexpected. Republican senators questioning Social Security cuts. Yes, you heard that right. At a recent Senate hearing, Trump's nominee for overseeing Social Security faced unexpected pushback. Senators who had previously stayed silent were now asking tough questions. How many Social Security offices are being closed? Why are services collapsing? Why are Americans waiting hours on hold, only to be disconnected? Even some of Trump's own allies in the Senate had to admit something isn't right. For years, the administration has been quietly making cuts, closing offices, reducing staff, and even giving top donors access to critical Social Security systems. But now, with real pressure from the public, those decisions are being challenged. And here's the thing, this is just the beginning.
For NBC News, quote, Republican Senator Chuck Grassley, the chairman of a key Senate subcommittee on Social Security, said he had not been told ahead of time about the Trump administration's moves at the agency. Quote, no, I have not been, Grassley told NBC News. Asked if it would be helpful to his job if he were given a heads up, Grassley repeated, I have not been. I have not been. Republican Senator Steve Daines, a Senate Finance Committee member, said in an interview that he, too, hasn't been in the loop for the Trump administration's changes. Quote, no, we haven't, he said. Quote, I haven't had any heads up. Senator Daines said that he would appreciate advance notice about the changes the administration makes to Social Security. He said, quote, I'd like to know about it, yeah. Well, that's something. I'd like to know about it. So those are the people in Washington, but it is the leaders of this country. I see you, plucky retirees in knitted hats on the side of the road in Reno.
Because of this movement, some significant policy reversals have already taken place. The plan to shut down Social Security's 1-800 number scrapped. The requirement that millions of seniors and disabled Americans verify their identity in person delayed. The quiet closing of local Social Security offices reconsidered. These are real victories. They prove that public pressure works. But let's be clear, Social Security is far from safe. This is just the beginning of a much larger fight. Cuts are still on the table. Backlogs and delays still exist. There are still powerful forces pushing for privatization, benefit reductions, or even phasing Social Security out entirely. If we want Social Security to remain strong, not just for today's retirees but for future generations, we have to keep pushing. And this isn't just about retirees. This affects every American. If you're in your 40s or 50s, you're paying into a system that you expect to be there when you retire. If you're in your 20s or 30s, you might think retirement is a long way off. But the fight for Social Security starts now, because once benefits are cut, once eligibility requirements are changed, once the system is altered, it's nearly impossible to undo. So here's what you can do. First, call your representatives. Demand that they protect Social Security. If they think voters aren't paying attention, they'll keep making quiet cuts. Second, sign petitions. Organizations like AARP and other advocacy groups are gathering signatures to send a message to lawmakers. Add your name. Make your voice heard. Third, spread the word. Share this video. Talk to your friends. Post on social media. The more people who know what's happening, the harder it becomes for politicians to make cuts in secret. And finally, stay involved. This isn't a one-time battle, it's an ongoing fight. The only way to protect Social Security is to keep the pressure on. Because here's the truth. Social Security isn't just a government program, it's a promise. A promise that if you work hard, if you contribute, if you do your part, you will have something to rely on. That promise must be kept, and with enough voices, enough action, and enough determination, we can make sure it is.